It's an honor to have today in our Egypt office of RIF Trust and Latitude Group, Mr. Thomas Anthony. He is the CEO of the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada. Mr. Anthony, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Sure, thank you for coming today. You told me earlier that this is not your first visit to Cairo. What's your impression so far?
Well, my first visit to Cairo, but I've been in Egypt before. And so far, it's been good. I like the weather. It gets a bit hot in the day, but at night it's cool. So, yeah,
amazing.
I'm enjoying it.
Amazing. We're honored to have you in our RIF Trust and Latitude office. We're here to talk about the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program. If you can tell us a little bit about your position in the agency and your expertise in the area.
Okay, thanks for that. So I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Investment Migration Agency in Grenada. I started in that role in April of last year, 2023. Prior to becoming the CEO of the agency, I have some history in the industry in that I served in the Antigua program from 2013 until 2018. I also worked with Exeger, one of the due diligence providers in the industry, for a year before taking up the same role in Grenada between 2018 and 2019. So this is my second time around as the Chief Executive Officer of the Investment Migration Agency in Grenada.
Can you tell us more about Grenada specifically? Where is it located and what's it famous for? Just to give our audience a little bit more information about this beautiful island.
So Grenada, like most Caribbean countries, is blessed with sunshine 365 days a year, awesome looking beaches, and fantastic weather. It's located in the southern Caribbean. If people are familiar with Barbados or even Venezuela, it's north of Venezuela, not far from Barbados. It's an island, tri-island state, and the population is about 110,000 people. The main language is English, and a GDP of about $1.2 billion.
Going through the Citizenship by Investment Program, can you tell us more about the ways that the client can invest in to be granted a citizenship of Grenada?
Absolutely. So there are three options, but two are really popular. There is one that's called Section 11A, which allows an individual, an investor, to create their own business or to purchase an existing business. There have only been a few applicants who chose that route. But the popular options are an approved project or a contribution to government through what is called the National Transformation Fund. The most popular of the two being the investment in a project. Currently, most of the approved projects are hotel plans, right? And so we would have seen the successful completion recently of the Six Senses Hotel, which was entirely built with investment migration funds, and just prior to that, the completion of Silver Sands Beach House, which is also an entirely funded investment migration project. So two main options: investment in an approved project, contribution to government through the National Transformation Fund.
What are the benefits of obtaining a Grenada citizenship and passport?
The benefit of having invested in Grenada, and by virtue of this investment being granted citizenship, one can then apply for a passport like all Grenadians do. And you will know that the Grenadian passport allows visa-free access to about 150 plus countries. So global mobility is one of the benefits of getting a Grenadian citizenship. The other one, I would say, is having a security, plan B, in the event of any eventuality. You have the opportunity for your family to travel to other parts of the world, right? If it calls for that. There's also other investment opportunities. So one, getting a Grenadian citizenship can in time invest into the US through what's called the E2 visa and get residency in the US as a result of this investment. So those are some of the benefits, I'd say.
Can we talk a little bit more about education in Grenada?
One of the really important ones, I imagine, for people in this part of the world. And so there is the St. George's University, which is largely a medical university, which has been in Grenada for about 2 decades. It's an accredited university, and they have arrangements with hospitals in the US where their students will complete the practical component of their medical training. It's a very popular university. The population now is about, I believe the last numbers I heard was north of 10,000. So that's like a small city in our country. And so they impact the economy in a significant way. So St. George's University, a really good school, accredited in the US. You have access to US hospitals for your practical training. And there's quite a bit of history with that university being in Grenada. But one of the benefits for individuals who eventually become citizens of Grenada through this program is a reduced tuition fee. So Grenadians, by and large, pay about 90% of the tuition fee. And there's no discrimination between someone who is born in Grenada and someone who becomes Grenadian by way of investment. So that's one of the significant benefits, a significantly reduced tuition fee to the St. George's University. They've added some other programs to their offering. As I said, it's largely a medical school, but they've offered business and other kinds of programs to the university.
Can you walk us through the process of being a Grenada citizen? Who's qualified for this? How long does it take as an average? And what does the client have to do in order to be qualified as a Grenada citizen?
Okay, so essentially anyone who's 18 years or older and have the requisite investment amount can become a citizen, can apply for citizenship for themselves and their family. Currently, the price point is for a single applicant, it's $150,000 through the National Transformation Fund, or for a family, 2 or more people, it's $200,000 through the National Transformation Fund. For the approved projects, it's $220,000 to the developer and the $50,000 to government. So all in $270 plus some fees. So once you meet that qualification, 18 years, having the requisite investment, currently there are about 6 parts to the application, including health, biometric information. We conduct due diligence on each applicant who is 17 years or older as part of the application. And that includes investigation by private due diligence firms, but it also includes the involvement of our financial intelligence unit on the island, conducting investigation. At the end of the investigation process, we look at the findings of the investigation versus what's declared, and we determine whether we need more information or whether we can make a decision. Normally, in normal times, that would take anywhere between 4 to 6 months. Unfortunately, we do have a situation now where it takes a bit longer. It's taking up to a year. And that's for good reason. We can talk about that later if you wish. But ordinarily, it's 4 to 6 months before an individual is told whether they are successful or not, whether they have been granted citizenship or not. They then have 30 days in which to make the investment, to complete the investment. We also extend that period if individuals need some more time to get the investment together, because we understand that you may not have all of the money available in liquid assets and you may have to liquidate some. So we provide extension of that time. But once the investment is made, we then issue the citizenship certificate. Individuals then take that citizenship certificate and apply for the passport. So that process is outside of us.
That will take me to the next question of who can apply along with the main applicant. So can a family apply for on the same file to the citizenship application?
Yes, I think we're quite generous in terms of the family component. So parents and children, grandparents who are 55 years and older, siblings can be added to applications, and children are defined as adopted children as well, right? Children who are adopted legally. So parents and grandparents of the main applicant or the spouse, children of the main applicant or the spouse, siblings of the main applicant or the spouse can be part of an application. Of course, there are additional fees depending on the family makeup, the number of people in the family, and the nature of the relationship. So for example, siblings are an additional $75,000, all right? Also, if the family is beyond 4, there are additional fees to be paid for those individuals, for the number of individuals that are added beyond the 4.
But it's still treated as a single application?
It's a single application.
Okay.
It's a single application. It's a family unit.
Okay.
It's regarded as a family unit and treated in that way. Each member who is 17 years and older will have to pay some due diligence fees. So the main applicant and spouse pays about $7,500, and then dependents would pay between $2,000 and $4,000, all right? And then there are some application fees, $1,500 per person, $500. But it's a family application. And from time to time, if there needs to be, you can even, not from time to time, but during the application process and there's a need to change the main applicant, that's something we give consideration to. But it's treated as a family unit as we look at the application. You know, notwithstanding, it's a sibling or grandparent, it's a family unit and treated in that way.
We have seen recently the Prime Minister of Grenada come together with different Caribbean islands providing the second citizenship by investment and sign a memorandum of agreement. Can you tell us more about what actually the agreement is all about and what's the price expectations after 30th of June this year?
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity to discuss that. For many years, we've been talking in the industry from a government level, as well as third governments that we have visa-free treaties with, about how can we improve these programs, right? To the benefit of the countries offering the programs, to the benefit of the third countries to which we allow visa-free access, as well as to the client. And so also in that mix has been, unfortunately, what's been termed a race to the bottom. So some countries decided to reduce the prices haphazardly, and this led to some challenges in the industry, let's call them that. And so it was determined by 4 of the 5 governments which with citizenship by investment programs, that one of the ways we can improve the industry is to set some standards across the 5 programs. Well, in this case, the 4 programs. St. Lucia is the only one who hasn't signed on. And so it was agreed that standards across the program make it safer, make it easier, gives it longevity. So one of the areas that we've agreed that should be part of those new standards is the price point. So the price floor has been set at $200,000. In the case of Grenada, that means that single applicant will now move from $150,000 to $200,000. But the family of 4 would not necessarily move, right? Because that price is already at $200,000. In the case of the approved project, that could mean a slight increase from the 220, so that there is some separation between the National Transformation Fund price point and the real estate or the approved project price point. We haven't quite determined what that number looks like, but it will not be a significant increase over what the 220 that exists now. The most significant increase will be for a single applicant who is moving from 150 to 200,000, as I said earlier. Another area of standardization we feel, we think was important in making these programs sustainable is from a security research perspective. So as we conduct due diligence on individuals, we agree that it makes sense that all of us are doing the same thing. The investigation looks the same, right? We agree also that we should share the information on denials. So if an individual is denied in Grenada, they can't go to Dominica and then apply. Dominica will have the information that that person was denied in Grenada, and so that means that you cannot no longer apply in the Caribbean, right? Because you would have been denied. And that's already a matter of law. Huh? That's already a matter of law where individuals who would have been denied in one of the other countries cannot then go to another country to apply. That exists, but now we're putting it in an agreement and setting the standard where that is concerned. Another area of cooperation, standard setting, is the marketing of the programs. So setting guidelines for marketing agents like yourselves, things like agreeing on the language that you will use in the marketplace, as well as how we will hold you accountable for marketing and promoting the program. So those are the areas of standardization we're looking at. How we investigate individuals, the price point, price floor. Countries are free to move beyond the floor as much as they wish, but the floor, everyone must be at the floor, which is $200,000. The guidelines for marketing the programs, and also looking at sharing of denials between the programs, the different countries.
Can you tell us more about the challenges that the Grenada agency is now facing in terms of the timeline of getting the process done? So we have some clients under process who have been waiting for quite some time. Can you please elaborate on why it's taking a little bit more time than usual to get to a decision or approval and printing the passports?
So the last 2 years has been a blessing and a curse, and I'll explain. So historically, the program is accustomed to receiving south of 500 applications, no more than 500 applications every year, right? That changed in 2022. So for example, in 2021, we received 566 applications.
That's per year?
Per year. For that year, we received, for 2021, we received 566 applications. Before that, it was always less than 500, 300, 400. We processed of that 566, 430 applications, 30. But then in 2022, the application submission number more than doubled. So it grew to 1,251 applications. And if you add those that would have rolled over from 21, you're talking about having to process more than 1,400 applications, right? And unfortunately, we didn't have the means to grow the resources in keeping with this new demand. So then move into 2020. So in 2022, we processed of the 1,251 plus the 130 that came over from 21, we processed in 22 only 493 of those applications, right?
Okay.
So you're seeing nearly 900 going over to 23. So notwithstanding improving significantly the number of applications processed in 2023, which grew to nearly 1,600. So we went from 493 to 1,592 applications processed. But because we had that 900 rollover, and in 23, we received 2,297 applications.
Significant growth.
Exactly. So now we're talking about treating with more than 3,000 applications. So notwithstanding having processed nearly 1,600, for the year so far, before I left office, we had processed for the year 531 applications. But because we have such a big number, we still have some that are a year old, admittedly. But we're treating with that. And the good news is that we've created a two-track process. So we're not allowing the 24 applications to be caught up in a backlog. We're processing them as they come, as they become available for decision. So you would have seen, I don't know if you have benefited as an agent, but we have already adjudicated on 2024 applications. right? That's because we have a track for treating with the current applications while we treat with the backlog. So you will see that the older files are coming out, are being approved, well, decision made, as well as the 2024 applications are also being adjudicated.
So the agency is taking all the decisions and implementations to make the process faster to the clients?
Yes, we are. Our target is to adjudicate on applications within 4 months. That's our target. So we also don't like being taking a year to do it. As I explained earlier, it's just a matter of volume that has caused us to be at this point where we are taking a year in most of the applications. Some, as I said, we're doing in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, right? The newer applications. And so we took decisions to improve that. So one of the things that we've done is increase our human resource, right? We've also leveraging technology. So we're moving from the existing platform, which just looks at processing the application from stage 1 to stage 5 or whatever stages they are. So it just moves it along the timeline. We're moving to a platform that has an AI tool, which will help us in terms of the vetting of the application, whether the requisite documents are attached, if they're in date, right? We've also taken steps to automate citizenship certificate process. So we will be pulling the information from the portal, which is updated by the agent, rather than having a human person completing the certificate. So that's going to reduce error and it's going to reduce the turnaround time, right? And what we have implemented is that I've hired more people at my level to process the applications, rather than before where it was all just coming up to me as a pyramid. We've now broadened that, and there are other people who are looking at the applications at my level, which then goes to the committee and then to the cabinet for final decision.
So we're assuring clients who have been under process for some time that the agency is dealing with the backlog, and we hopefully to hear back about their citizenship status and the application status soon. And we're also assuring whoever is thinking to apply for Grenada Citizenship by Investment that the government and the agency is taking everything possible to make the process faster.
Well, let me give this assurance now as
Please.
I look into the camera. I give you this assurance that for those applications that have been waiting for more than 6 months, by June 30th, all of those applications will be adjudicated. All of them, and we will be in a current state. That is, we will be adjudicating applications within a 4 to 6 month window. So that's my assurance to you. Those of you with applications in from 2023, by the end of June, all of those applications would have been adjudicated. I can't say you'll be approved, but all of them will be adjudicated.
This is what clients like to hear all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving forward to my last question, and it's about how significant is the Citizenship by Investment program contributing to the government and to the country's GDP. Can you tell us more about historic statistics, maybe about how the contribution went and what are the expectations going forward?
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for that. So historically, the contribution of the Citizenship by Investment program to Grenada's GDP has been single digit, less than 10% per annum. In 2022, that number grew to about 10%, just over 10%. In 2023, that number grew to about 30%. Yeah? So we're seeing that significant growth over time. And one thing you will know about government is that they become accustomed to the new norm, all right? So now we have to do the real work to sustain this growth. 2024, we believe, will be similar to 2023. And so the work now begins. This is why the agency is more aggressively marketing and promoting the program, to make sure that 25, 26, 27 looks similar. and that we're not going back to pre-COVID numbers, which was less than 10%, as I said earlier. And some of the things we do with this money is developmental, right? So infrastructure development. We've been able to build the new roads in areas that we would not have been able to afford to do that before because we just didn't have the money to do it. There's an international bond, which people may know, which became a thing, became necessary after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, which we asked the investors of the bond to take a haircut and promising that if the Citizenship by Investment program does well, they will get paid more, right? And so the money has been used to reduce that debt burden, that international bond, but also overall reduce our debt to GDP over time, right? But it's given us this fiscal space to get to fund developmental projects that we didn't have the space to do before, to reduce our debt to GDP, and just to generally provide better healthcare to Grenadians.
Flying all the way from Grenada to Cairo, so you're here now in our RIF Trust and Latitude office in Egypt. What is the final statement you can tell those who are thinking about investing in Grenada in general and those who are looking to obtain the citizenship of Grenada through investment through RIF Trust and Latitude Group?
So what I'll say is that Grenada is the best in class. In terms of Caribbean programs, you can't do better than the Grenada investment program. As it relates to RIF Trust, they have been in the industry for 2 decades, more than 2 decades. I've interacted with the principals of RIF Trust, I'd say about 10 years now. They're professionals, they know what they're doing, they understand the industry, they understand the program specifically, and there is a good working relationship between the RIF Trust team and the Investment Migration Agency.